This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas.
All right there. Hey there, everybody. If it's Tuesday, and it is, we're live on Movie Reviews and More with everybody, obviously. This is Brian Sebastian. No, I'm just kidding. We're waiting for our guest, Randy Edelman, the one and only, to join us. So what I did not know, but I actually did, so because Maddy and I talk about these things all the time, the girls don't know who Maddy is. But Maddy knows who everybody is. So let's start off with this award-winning host producer of Custom Trends all the way from Houston, Texas. And she might have issues, but she lives in Houston and had the strangest weather in the country. The one and only Trixie Gynn. And all the way from Chicago is the one and only Linda Steele, hot bod fitness icon, fitness trainer, well-being coach, fitness model, working on a movie, working on finishing a book, macro-made meals. Very, very important about macro-made meals because I'm sure we all could use them, right, Linda? Yes.
Absolutely.
And all the way from Toronto, I think Maddy's in Ontario, Canada, I think. So, Maddy, you know what? I'm not even going to introduce you because you're the newest co-host. You're the youngest one. Tell the young ladies who you are and why you're here. This will be fun.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brian. So first of all, I'm so happy to be here. It's lovely to meet you ladies. So Brian and I were first introduced. My mom was actually on the show. She just finished writing a book, Forever is Today. And the character in her book is loosely based on me. So there's a whole backstory that I won't get into too much, but pretty much I've had a lot of health troubles for the past 5-6 years, and I've really been struggling a lot with that. And recently, I've really been kind of looking into alternative ways to pretty much care for myself, my health, mentally and physically. So I actually just opened up an e-com store, so it's all online. It's a clothing brand. It's called 478. So pretty much 478 is a common breathing technique. So you breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 7 seconds, breathe out for 8. And this cycle of breathing has proven success in releasing stress, anxiety, and just helping your mind settle into the present moment, which is really what we focus on because the present moment is just a beautiful place in time where if you can kind of disconnect from the external distractions that we have, social media and everything's so crazy, fast paced these days. And if you can just connect with that present moment and look within and reconnect with yourself, I mean, anything is possible. There's so many benefits mentally and physically. And yeah, I'm just really trying to get word out there about the brand to kind of raise awareness of that kind of stuff. And so yeah, that's why I'm here. And Brian has been so amazing in helping me promote. So I'm wearing one of my shirts.
Nice.
So, yeah, we have lots of sweaters, hoodies. That's the logo right there.
Nice.
And the website is 478shop.com.
Beautiful. Are you on Instagram as well?
I am, yes. So the brand Instagram is 478_official.
478. I do it right now or I will forget.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
I remember the days, Maddy, when Linda wasn't following anybody, but everybody wanted to follow her.
Oh, yes?
Well, they still do. They still do.
Well, I'm honored in that case.
Yeah, absolutely. You are definitely being followed.
Thank
Cool.
you so much.
Yeah, can't wait to look at your stuff.
All right,
Nice.
Trixie, go ahead. Tell Maddie what you do because she's
Oh,
been following you guys a little bit here and there.
yeah, definitely. Well, Maddie, I definitely have a question for you. I'm so interested in that book. Was there anything that you didn't want your mom to write about? And, was it challenging to stop her, or did you just say, you know what the hell, go ahead and write it?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think I'm very open about everything I've been through. My illness is related to the liver, so I'm actually very involved in the Canadian Liver Foundation and kind of just sharing my story and raising awareness. So when it came to the book, I was kind of just like, go crazy, do your thing. If you need me to give my input or, what it was like personally, and emotionally during the toughest time when I was first diagnosed, then of course, let me know and I'd be happy to help. But it was a little tough reading the book, because of course it really hit home and it just reliving some of those emotions was definitely a little bit difficult. It took me a while to get through the book, but I think it's really amazing that it's out there and to raise awareness really. And I just love promoting health because, it's not something that should be taken for granted, especially as a younger person as well. I think a lot of people my age often take it for granted. And so I just really want to kind of shine a light on how important it is to treat ourselves with love and respect and just not take it for granted.
That is amazing. It's amazing to have that relationship with your mother and to do, such a wonderful creation as a book to, help others.
Yeah, well, thank you. She's been such an amazing support system through the whole thing. So I'm so lucky to have her.
Hi, Maddie. I was I wanted to get Linda on both times, but she was busy. She was about ready to open her gym, all the stuff when Macro made, and I'm like, oh, that's twice she hasn't been able. I couldn't get her on, but she was busy. So she gets to meet Maddie, the daughter. So I think it's kind of fascinating because guess what, Linda, this is your world, right? Fitness, health, eating.
It is. And first of all, regarding the book, Maddie, I can't imagine what it must have been like reading that book from your mom's perspective, because I can't imagine one of my daughters being ill. That had to be so painful for your mom to live through. And for her to actually write the book, I imagine it was hard for you to read it from her perspective.
Yeah, it definitely was. And the relationship between the main character and the mother as well there's a lot of similarities between our relationship. So absolutely, like you said, kind of seeing, the thoughts of the mom and the relationship there in the book. And it really hit home and was tough to see because, of course, in the moment she is the mom, has the brave face on, you don't really think about how it affects everyone else emotionally in the family at the time because you're just so preoccupied with other things. So it was tough, but, of course, I've learned so much from the experience, and I think I wouldn't be the person I am today without having gone through all that stuff. So I'm definitely grateful for it in a sense. And I'm really happy to have the opportunity to share, what I've been through and what I've learned.
Yeah, great. Good. Yeah, people take for granted how important the nutrition is with the human body. I mean, the human body has requirements of vitamins and minerals every day, calories, macronutrients, micronutrients, and when you don't take care of your body, it makes a difference. But when you start taking care of your body, you really feel the difference.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you said that. I've actually recently been working very closely with a nutritionist, and she really looks at like kind of the chemical aspect of food and the effect it has on your body. And like that's in one hand, and all the meds I take are in the other. And it's like that one is just so much higher for making me feel good. Like when I first went on the strict diet, it was like night and day difference. And now I preach it to everyone. I'm like, I know that milkshake looks good, but trust me, your body will thank you. You'll feel so good after, picking the salad first. And it really is so, so important, especially when, fast food is so easily accessible nowadays. Absolutely. Nutrition is a huge, huge aspect of it.
Yep, absolutely. Glad you're learning this young.
Linda, give
Thank
her a
you.
rundown of who you are and what you've done. I mean, this is just right now what you've done. You got a lot of new stuff coming up.
I do. So up to this point, anyway, I've been in the fitness industry for 18 years. I learned the hard way because my body was going down a ugly road. I was trying to get in shape, but I was starving myself to death, and I was doing way too much cardio. And so what I did was I hired myself a trainer who had a lot of knowledge. And the program that he taught me is actually the same program that I teach today. So he taught me this program, which is a balance of your cardiovascular activity, your weight training, and your nutrition. And once you balance the three of those, your body gets into a balance and it starts running efficiently and effective. Everything becomes, just everything falls into place. Your hormones, the chemicals in your body, everything just starts falling into place. So once he taught me this program and I realized what a difference it made, I thought to myself, I have to teach everybody. Everybody's doing it wrong. Everybody I know is doing it wrong. So I decided to go and study for my certification, and I became certified. I got my first job at a national chain. Well, it was Bally's then. Now it's LA Fitness, I believe. But they were national. And within a year and a half of working there, I had a wait list on my schedule of 3 months to even get on my schedule because my program was just killing it and everybody was doing so well. So out of 4,500 trainers, I became the #1 female trainer nationwide based on the several different criteria that we had to, goals that we had to hit and so forth. And so from there, my schedule became so busy, I wound up, I decided to go ahead and open my own gym. I did that, and all of my clients came with me. And I then opened up a second gym. And from there, I decided to say yes to other opportunities, which was modeling and doing different fitness broadcasts and so forth. So that's what I'm doing now. Now my daughter opened a meal prep company, which I came on board to help her as her nutrition expert. So those are the things that I'm doing. And then from there, now there's a movie I'm preparing for, a book I'm writing. It's just really snowballing.
And
Wow.
we're going to segue into this because the one and only.
Yeah, look who's
my
on.
newfound friend, Randy Edelman, is here. So, Randy, it's good to see you. You know what, Randy? Let's talk about your new song real quick, and then I'm going to go into all the stuff from the past, and then you're going to meet all the young ladies of Movie Reviews some more. All right?
Yeah.
And you know what? Let's do this first. Randy, sing us that song. Let's start up there. Let's start up with that song.
Oh, man. Okay. No lead in, no introduction.
No. You talk about how it came about. You sing it to us.
Coming out the other side, or grab your hat, put your best suit on. You're coming out. You're coming out the other side. You wake up with a smile on your face. Just today you can run from your place. You've been locked in your house all year long, but today you begin a new song. You've been pushed from your purpose in life and attacked by the edge of a knife. Now it's time to break out and look out. It's time to find what life is all about and just take a good look all around you. Let your heart be filled with pride. Grab your hat and put your best suit on. You're coming out the other side. There's a new kind of spring in your step, and a fresh attitude. You've got pep, and a new kind of smile on your face, and a fresh attitude. That's your new place. And just take a good look all around you. Let your heart fill up with pride. Grab your coat and all your belongings. You're coming out the other side. Grab your hat, put that best suit on. You're coming out the other side.
Fabulous. Wow.
A lot of mistakes. I screwed up a lot of it because I'm sitting here and the stuff is falling off the piano. And anyway,
Man.
We couldn't tell.
So here's the
Beautiful.
thing. Let me start
grab
off
your
here,
hat,
young ladies.
I was gonna
So,
like,
while Randy's
grab
playing
my
with
hat.
his things and grabbing his hat, it is the Olympics are going on. Did you guys know that he wrote the openings and closings for whether it's the Olympics, whether it's the NBC theme and things like that? Linda,
Wow.
did you know that? That's
I
just the
did
start.
not.
This guy, he's one of my favorite composers of all time. And I told him that when I last spoke with him. Because if you've ever seen the movie, Linda, and you're a moviegoer, just like Trixie and myself, and maybe even Maddy, The Last of The Mohicans, it's in my top 10 favorite movies of all time. He wrote that theme. And that score is still this day one of the best scores in my opinion. And a lot of my other film critics' opinions, because we talk about it all the time. But winning the Kirk Award, whether it's mixing with Coretta Scott King, that award. Obviously, you've done so many things, and this song you wrote during COVID. So what does that mean to you, Randy, when you write that song, Coming Out the Other Side?
Coming out the other side. Well, it was, just an idea that came into my head, and I came back here. Now, it's a lot. The record's a lot different than what I just did, but it has a little a different kind of feeling that way. So you heard it first. You heard it here, even though I screwed up a lot of the lyrics. You got the gist of it, I guess.
It's wonderful.
Thanks.
It's wonderful. It's something that everybody can relate to right now as well.
Yeah. Well,
Absolutely.
good.
Hey, Randy, when you see the Olympics going on and you hear that theme, what comes to your mind?
Well, quite a lot of that stuff, to be honest with you, Brian, was they started to use a lot of my scores. So the scores were written obviously for movies, and then it was a while later that they actually asked me to write stuff specifically for that. Most of the time, it was music that I had written that I didn't even know they were going to use it, and then they would, there'd be some kind of something would happen, an event or something tragic or something on the other side of the coin, triumphant, and they would use certain pieces of mine. And then I would once in a while write specific things. But it's all just writing music, emotional music, for a different kind of venue than film scoring. And so it's all I treat it all sort of the same way. Really no difference. Except I'm not looking at a picture, not scoring it or writing a song. So that's it.
Hey, Maddy, I know you got a question to ask. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering, where does the inspiration and love for music come from? How did you even start finding that love for it all and that talent of yours?
Oh, I was very young. I just gravitated toward it. I didn't know I never had any plan or idea that I would be doing the things that I ended up doing. I was just very, I was disciplined and I worked hard at being kind of like the best musician I could be. It wasn't about film composing or albums or TV themes, or it was just, I always believe that you have to kind of have that background, and then if you are fortunate enough to get, it's like anything else, and when the opportunity comes along, you have to be kind of ready to do your thing, but as far as where it came from, I don't know. I just sort of always had this thing that it was a certain thing that music seemed to spark my something inside me, and was always with me from the time I was very young.
Mm. Yeah.
I have a question.
Okay.
And I would assume I know the answer, but I would like to hear it from you. When you are writing a song for a particular movie, I'm assuming you've read the script first, or how do you know what you're writing for?
Okay, first of all, I don't write songs for movies. No, I don't. That's a different. Writing songs is a completely different animal. That has nothing to do with film scoring. They don't use songs. Songs are not in movies at all. They use now finished records. So, what was your exact question?
So are you saying that the record comes first and then they pair it with a movie? Is that how it goes?
No, there's no, you got to forget about records. There's no records. Writing film scores is writing music to the movie. As far as reading a script, no, I don't read any scripts. I used to, because you can't do anything with that. You have to see a movie. You have to see the style of the movie, the characters, and you don't have any time to do that. It sounds, read a script. Sometimes you have to write these things in a week or two. So get the movie, you put it in front of you, and you just watch it, and watch every scene, every cue, which is every scene that has music is called a cue, and you give it a title, and you try to come up with something that enhances or supports the scene that the director needs you to write. But as far as reading scripts, you could read a script and come up with an idea. But when you do that, then what happens is you have a preconceived notion, and then what happens if you have that in your head, and then you start working on the movie, and you try to find out a place where that goes, and guess what? It goes nowhere. It doesn't go anywhere, because it's got to be for that movie. So instead of wasting your time on it, wait till you get the movie in there, and then write something that fits. That's because, quite honestly, you don't have time to do that. Once in a while, it can work the other way, but mostly it's just putting the film in, being inspired by what you see, what you hear, what it looks like. It depends what period it takes place, what the scenery is looking, all that stuff. That's what you have to do kind of on the spot, all at once. You have to concoct whatever it is, because you just, the long and short of it is you don't have much time. You can't sit around and wait for an inspiration. You kind of have to look at it and see it and come up with it, or you don't do this. You're not in this line of work.
Hey Randy, we were talking last when you would go to colleges. What were the 3 titles of the films that you composed that these students always had in their dorms?
Well, okay. Among sort of all the kind of dramatic things that I've done, I did many. I was the king of comedy, and so I would go to, once in a while when I go to these places and do these, these master classes, which I don't do very often. The kids, this is male or female, especially the ones that were like the freshmen in the dorm. They always, so I get done, I talk about music, I talk about these wonderful emotional things that I've written and all this. They didn't want to, and at the end, they only wanted to know about the 3 movies that everybody had in their dorm room. They were kind of 3 nerd comedies. One was called My Cousin Vinny, one was called Adam Sandler's film Billy Madison, and one was called The Mask with Jim Carrey. And I scored all of them. And that's all they wanted to talk about. And yes, everybody, and there were a couple of others which I won't mention, but those were, that's what they wanted to hear about. those scores, which will have stories, but they didn't want to really take a lot of time hearing about anything else. That's it.
So, all right, Linda. So My Cousin Vinny is in my top 20 films of all time.
Top 10.
And but again, when I think about this, and Randy, I've been telling everybody since our last conversation, the 3 movies that you just talked about with people, they're like, really? That's who he is? I'm like, yes, you need to pay homage to this young man because of the things that he's done and what he's about to do, because you've done so many things, including, the re-release of Ghostbusters 2. Talk about that.
Boy, that's a long story about why right now, many years later, is Sony Classical, who are by far the best record label, they do very few film scores. Why are they releasing my score, big orchestral score, all these years later? Which has to do, I don't remember if we talked about it last time, but it would take too long to get into it. But I put it together. It took over a year, not a year of working on it constantly, but to put the whole thing together. And it's coming out now for the first time, because talking about what I just talked about before when I was asked, is it Linda that asked me about the songs? Mm-hmm. Did she just ask me?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. I can't see on the screen on there. That movie, because of the first movie with the first song that was kind of an afterthought put in the movie, it took many years to make the sequel, and so every black artist, R&B artist, everybody wrote a song for Ghostbusters 2. Well, the movie, 99% of it, it's just my music. So they had all these really highly produced, and all these everybody did. They weren't just songs; they were finished records. But of course, in the end, they didn't really use any songs, but they put them in the end credit after the movie was over, and it was kind of a very political kind of thing. And then when the soundtrack came out, none of my music was on the soundtrack. It was only these songs that weren't in the movie. So that's a little, that's one of the reasons. And at the time, I was just getting into this stuff, and so I couldn't complain. And I was just happy that the whole thing was successful and that I had gotten through it. And I kind of moved on. And over the years, I always got calls like, we've got to release the score. We've got to, So finally, all these years later, they're releasing the score, and they did a great job. It's a great package. And I'll send you the press thing that I just got. And the vinyl, because everything is vinyl now, the vinyl version of it is all pink slime. Remember in the movie, it's like they really did such a number on this, and so I'm happy that it took so long, and it's this particular organization that did it, and that's the long and short of it, because there was a soundtrack, but it really wasn't the music of the movie, and that happens. That also happened on the Vin Diesel picture that I did. That was XXX. They released songs from that, and then later, but that was fairly close to it, they released my score. So that kind of thing that's not the only time it happened. The fact that it took all 25 years or something to finally release the score of that movie now is sort of insane, but it's all fine.
Trixie, I see you got your hand up. I saw something going up. Yeah, go
my
for it.
turn. Randy, man, this is amazing. I'm very honored to even, I have watched a lot of your work and stuff. And one of my questions to you is, what was your first love for music? What instrument was it? Everybody that's been in music, I love music. I've been in the band for so many years. Growing up, and I switched different instruments. And what did you find best? And
no, I never did that. I played
piano,
except there's one other instrument. Would you like to hear it?
Yes, absolutely.
Hold on, I'll be back in 1 second.
Okay.
Oh man.
So
I knew there was
My Cousin Vinny too, huh?
I knew there was going to be an instrument. Every musician has to have some sort of, you have to have a passion of something, especially
Well,
if
no. The piano's. Where is? Oh my God! I'm sorry. It's okay. You can see what it is. It's ukulele, but it's in my house, and that's too far to walk. Anyway, sorry. I would have played one of the. I went to camp when I was a kid, so there was no piano around. So you go to camp, summer camp, and what do? They sing folk songs. So I got into that very early on, and I kind of so I played the ukulele, not seriously, and I don't play it too much now. I'm really sorry. It's right over there. It's over there with the boxing gloves that are here to punch the directors who come over here. and it's in there. But I took it in. I forgot why. I know where it is, but I can't go in there. Sorry.
Well, has there ever been a time where a musician or a director has disagreed with your work that you have,
Every day.
Every day.
Every film, every cue, every day. Yeah.
Every day. Okay.
Yeah, there's no like, oh, you've done this and that, so therefore, no. You're only as good as you're only as good as your last thing. You're not. When you come into a film, a composer is the last person in obviously making a very important contribution to a movie, no matter what it is, whether it's a horror film or a drama or a period piece or a romantic comedy or a funny nerdy comedy. And you're the last one into a long story. All these movies have histories. And it doesn't matter if it's a serious quote picture or a comedy. It could be 20 years that the thing is based on a novel or a screenplay, and then it went to I'm hearing a sound. Do you have that sound? I don't know what
I hear it.
Yeah, that's from me, I think.
Yeah, so you get out.
Smoke detector.
That's the garbage guy.
Okay. All right. Anyway, so what are
the process of you compositing just a small music piece? What does it take for Randy to get that piece together?
Nothing. I just sit here behind the piano. I watch the scene. I don't write it with the piano necessarily. It took me a while. I used to always do that. That's a crutch. Nothing. I look at the scene and I have all my computers back here, and I just write the cue, whatever.
Okay, so you do write the music and write the notes and everything.
Oh yeah, but now you don't have to, right?
Now you don't have to.
Computer.
Okay,
you don't really.
See,
have
I'm still old school.
No. I'm totally old school, which nobody.
Okay.
There are very few people. No, I'm a conservatory graduate. I studied for years. I write everything. I conduct everything. I orchestrate everything. I do all that stuff. And that's what I do. But I do it at the same time. It's not like I write and I sequence the synthesizer. I write it, and whatever it is, I kind of flesh it out. It's not like I get to the end of it and I write it on the piano and then I do it all kind of at once, because what you find out is you don't have a lot of time. So if you did it that way, you'd write for weeks and you'd suddenly end up with 50 cues you wrote for the piano. Then you'd have to go out and sequence them. You don't have time for that. You have to bag a cue, so to speak. Sounds terrible. And and it's done. And you're next. That's what this is. And that's how you do it.
That's how you get it done, huh?
You have to, because there's no. If you can't go to sleep, you kind of know, depending on what film it is and how much time you have and how many cues there are, you know what you have to do. And if you don't do it, if it's not done and you like flake off one day, that means the next day you're going to be in trouble. So you can't go to sleep till you're done with you think. Yeah, you're done with what you think. It's not like I have a map with a schedule, but I know whatever the kind of thing it is and how long it's taking me. Some films are, dramas, though you maybe think about dramas being more serious and better movies. They're much easier because a scene in a drama dictates usually what the music should be. Comedies are much harder, because comedies, I do comedies. but I don't. If you listen to the music, you wouldn't even know it's a comedy. I don't write funny music. In comedies are action pieces and romantic pieces and dark pieces, and so, and it's harder to not only write what it is, but come up with the style of it and also the placement of it. Comedies are harder to decide when music should come in, whereas with dramas, it sort of dictates the pace and the scenes that need support and musical support. So,
and when it goes to comedies, Randy, like that, when Adam Sandler calls you, what do you usually say to him, first of all? And then when we talk about the first time he called you, what was that like for you?
well, that was a no, immediate no, because but I knew that I didn't know him. He just said, I did this. You gotta do this. And I said, I've been doing a lot of comedies and I really want to move into the stuff. Yeah, but you got to see this. So I schlepped up, as we say in proper Yiddish, to a screening like in Tucson, I went up there with him and a bunch of people. And, this picture, it's really a very silly premise. And there were all these kids, and I wasn't able to sit through it. So I went out in the lobby, and unfortunately, he came out when I was in the lobby just hanging out. And so, of course, I went into the bathroom to act like I went out to take a bathroom break. But so I had to go back in. But anyway, what it is that whatever I did, I always get into it. And it doesn't matter exactly what the film is, whether you don't have to make a judgment whether the film is good or bad, or if you like it. You have to watch it, get into what it is and what the director did, and get into it, and then you adapt that mindset. It's like I said, you kind of live this, and you get into it, and everyone is like a puzzle. And that piece was like a puzzle. And I ended up having a blast. And of course, it went on. And now, it's just on 24/7 in every country of the world, along with lots of other stuff. And so most of those things, they always turned out well, because I got into it and I wrote in a certain style that fit in that movie, that character. What was he? He was a guy who's the son of some, wealthy guy who was trying to go through school every month, skip a grade because he was kind of a ne'er-do-well guy, always high and drugs and everything, and he never got out of school. So he bet his father, whatever it was, I forgot the exact premise. And so there he is at the age of 24 or whatever he is, and he's in kindergarten. And the next day, a week later, he's in first grade, and blah, 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 blah. So sounds like silly. So I adapt the silliness or the premise and get into the mindset of, in this case, him, and he was the lead character and wrote it. And so that's what I did with all those kinds of things. And they, and then as long as I think in the end, I try to pull whatever it was, as silly as it was, or I made it kind of original and my own take based on obviously what I'm looking at and what the director and the writer and everybody wanted this to be. So that's what you have to do with each one of these things. And if you can't do that, then it's a really long haul, because you're just trying to come up with something, you're not really into it. So early on, I never care really about what my assessment of as far as art and art form each of these pictures is. I get it, I see it, I see what it is, and I get into that, and that's what makes it fun. And hopefully the quality of it is good in the end, because you're only writing to what it is. And same thing with The Mask. I mean, Jim Carrey was this guy that put on this mask, and it turned out to be actually a very dark score, but that's really what that movie was. And then you let these people, where they're being funny, let them be funny. Guess what? I don't get in the way. I don't write a thing. They don't need it. Their character is fine. The areas of the movie that need help musically are those kind of blurred areas of which the storyline is going on, not in the case of whether it's Adam Sandler or Jim Carrey or Eddie Murphy. They don't need help. So that's what it is, and it makes it interesting and cool for me.
Yeah,
So
nice.
we had a question asked. So what was your most favorite award you received and why? And that's from Rachel Y. And also after that, Linda, we're going to go into macrame meals, because I always wanted to know, when you answer that, Randy, I always wanted to know what you're eating or what you're drinking when you're composing, because you only got something like a week or two to do these things.
Is this question from a real person named Rachel Y? And she asked why? What was
Exactly.
Okay. And what was the question again?
What was your most favorite award you received and why?
Oh, okay. But awards are not something that you think about, and they are really. I'd say that Richard Kirk award that was that BMI, because the members are all composers. That's very meaningful, because you're given that as a kind of result of the body of your work. So I won't say that was very meaningful to me, but most of the time, or you'll get an award for something that you wrote music for. That you wrote music just like what I just told you before, and you weren't thinking about an award. I think was it you had mentioned when I got this honorary doctorate. The biggest thing for me, there were 3 people. I won't get into it. Was a large university, and the 3 people were all, say, distinguished in other, or there were 4. One of them was the woman who kept the leopard from being extinguished, and she was, and they were an endangered species, and she was obviously an expert in all this stuff. And then the other was somebody who invented a telescope that saw. So I was next to these 3 or 4 people, wondering, of course, what the hell I'm doing there. But the last person was Coretta Scott King,
a wonderful woman. Honored to meet her.
The year before she passed away, and I was I had a nice conversation with her, and if they had a lunch for us. That was a big deal to me, to just think about who I was talking to and why I was there. But that was great. And you know what? You'd think I didn't get one picture. I could have had 40, and I always, so I have a thing in my house that has the 2 of us got this thing, and she gave the address. So I just remember that was really meaningful, but it wasn't really because of the doctorate thing so much as because I just appreciated so much being in the presence of somebody like that so much. I mean, you could just look at her and you talk to her and you're just thinking about everything. And so anyway, that was good. The rest of the things it's great when they happen. I'm not saying I certainly appreciate it, but those things are not, the Golden Globes with Mohicans and that crazy story of the way that score was written, and then to go to the BAFTA, the British Academy, to go, that was all great, but at the end of the day, that's not what you remember about them. That you remember first of all, if you're happy with your score, and if your score ended up in the movie the way hopefully you intended it to be, which many times is not the case, because you're in no control of that. After you write it and you fight with them and you get what you want, then they take it and they do the mix of the movie, which is when they put in the sound effects, dialogue, and the music. And the music's the last one in there. The sound effects drown you out, or they play the dialogue so loud you can't hear the music. And usually it's like, is the music where you wanted it to go? Yeah, but you can't hear it. And they look at you, you're not, and they say, don't complain, it's there, it's in. I said, yeah, but you can't hear it.
Hey, Randy, I have 2 quick questions for you, buddy.
Yeah, baby.
I have 2 quick questions. Okay, what has been your longest piece? And the second question is, I've got to know, I just got to know, what's left in the vault? I know there's something that you haven't released. Can you tell us about it?
Well, okay. I'm so bad. I cannot remember. What was the first question again?
The first question.
My longest piece.
What has been your longest piece?
I have no idea.
Oh, I have no.
I mean, my longest piece. I don't write by the yard. I have no idea.
I figured it might be something that you remember, like, oh, that has been my longest piece.
My longest piece, yes. I have something in there that's in a vault that'll never be heard. It is a piece about it has to do with architecture. Yeah, okay. That's a long piece. It's about 3 hours long because it's not for any purpose. So, okay, that's my longest piece.
3 hours, you see? So the second question, you ready? I want to know the secret. It's a secret. I want to know your secret. What's in the vault that you haven't released?
Okay. I'm fortunate in that I'm basically, after many years of doing other things before I got into writing for film or television and everything like that, and I was around a long time as a musician, as a record producer, and all that stuff. So right now, when I write, generally, it is for a purpose, and there's nothing left over.
Okay.
I don't have and by the way, people do call me, and I'll give you a little story now, present day story.
Okay.
They do call me, and they'll say, we need this for our music library or something, acting like I just can open my closet and all this shit falls out of it, and they know.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. That's what I thought. Maybe you've got, stacks of it.
So I'll give you a story right away about the Olympics that are on right now.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if anybody is seeing because
I'm watching it and I'm listening, Randy.
Okay. Well, Well, that's not okay. So there's a kind of, for years, NBC always did them, and there were people there. Now there's been a changing of the guard and everything. And by the way, like I said, I don't write stuff for them. They use my stuff, and it's usually a surprise. There've been a couple of things that are a little different. But so they had called me, and they asked me that exact thing. And these are new people, and they said, because they didn't want to use stuff. What's that noise? Is that you, Brian?
No.
Who is that?
That's you.
Linda.
So they know, and I told them, and they're kind of new, and I've been involved with this for years. I said, listen, I don't write stuff for you guys. I never did. You heard stuff of a number of my scores that you thought fit the moments, and you started using it. It's not like I sent you music and I said, you can use this, So I told them that, but they still didn't want to know. And I also said sort of what I said to you a little while ago. And I said, I don't have a lot of stuff hanging around. However, once in a while, very few amount of times, I will write something for something, and it's great. Or I think it's great, and I think it comes out great. But for one reason or another, it's not used in the movie. Now, how about they took the whole scene out of the movie? That happens. That's happened to me a lot.
Yeah.
So they took the scene out. Now, I think I have a thing. I shouldn't be revealing this now, but I think there's some kind of contractual thing like, if you don't use the movie I write, it goes back to me. I don't really think that's the case, but let's say that I think it is. There have been a couple of times, especially in one instance, where I did something and I knew that it wasn't going to be there. There was a soundtrack album. Bob Dylan wrote, who's one of the greats, but he had something. You talk about people having something in the trunk. He didn't write this song I'm talking about. Now, I could he'll never hear this. So they used this song to end this movie, a Bob Dylan song. So based on that, they got this wonderful soundtrack thing, and the soundtrack was going to come out. I'm not going to even mention what the film is. And because of that, and that they removed the first part of something, I was left with this fantastic thing that we recorded at Abbey Road with the London Symphony. And the soundtrack was going to come out, and I said to myself, well, hold it, it's sort of the soundtrack just based on this Dylan thing. I better put this other stuff, not only the stuff of mine that was on there, but this other stuff on, because who knows? But I said to myself, you know what? It's too good. I'm basically handing it over to them when I know it's not going to be in the picture, because what it was written for isn't in the picture. And if it was going to be a kind of rehashing of that thing at the end, it's now been obscured because they've got this Dylan song that he took out of him. I'm the biggest Dylan fan there is, but this wasn't Blowing in the Wind, or Don't Think Twice, It's All Right. This was something. And it'd be hard pressed for me to believe, like, he watched the end of this movie and wrote this thing. So anyway, long story short, I put it in my drawer, along with maybe one or two other things. It happens very rarely. This is a finished thing. It's not an idea that didn't come to fruition. So the other day when they called me, there were two things that happened. They called me about stuff, and I said the same thing. I said, I don't know, what do you think? I have stuff hanging around. And I know there were 3 or 4 of them who kind of knew me from before, and they're going, yeah, you got stuff to hang. We know you do. But I said that I didn't. And it also coincided with, what's his name, taking off in his rocket ship, the launch.
Oh,
Jeff,
yeah.
Okay?
Basil?
Now, so they asked me about this. I see Basil, say, blah, 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 blah. There's all this stuff. So now I take the film out. It wasn't that. It was something very moving. I take the music out, and suddenly I'm thinking Olympics, going to the moon, and I listen now to the piece, which has been sitting there for several years. I always think of something good. It's like simmering in the drawer. Really, I believe that, like, it's like getting better, It's just sitting there. Nobody knows about it. No one's heard it. And now I'm listening. It's the Olympics. Branson just took off in his rocket ship one way, different way. The other guy took off in his rocket ship. And now I'm listening. And now I'm thinking, this thing is the greatest piece of music ever written. It needs a title, first of all. What's my title? Launch of a Lifetime. Okay? Now I've retitled it.
All right, Randy.
It's a pleasure, Randy. We love you.
You got 10 seconds.
We love you, Randy.
And the next, so now I send these guys. You know what I said? I actually just came up with something. Now I'm telling you all the stuff, and anybody could see this and they know I'm full of shit. But the next day, by special overnight something. Oh, by the way, I tell them this. I tell them. I don't say I just wrote this, because it's so big. You get this thing. It's got a choir of 100 people. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I said, okay, this is something that I finished off in my back. You put it on, it's like, holy shit. And of course, I sent it off, and I said, it's called Launch of a Lifetime. You know what I mean? Let's see. I bet in the next 2 weeks, that sucker, they're going to come upon like a big moment. Although in this Olympics, between the COVID stuff, the people, the typhoon coming, and also these, terrible stories of that's going on. The tennis player losing and the wonderful gymnast, something, it's like, I don't know what's going to happen or if anybody's going to be watching. But anyway, I'll
be watching. I'll be watching.
Well, yeah, but you won't know. You won't know. Launch of a Lifetime. All I can tell you is, if you hear, you won't know. You'll be like,
we'll be looking out for it.
Oh my God, Launch of a Lifetime. I'll let you know. I mean, I have no idea.
All right,
You're
Randy,
amazing,
we
Randy.
gotta
You're
thank
amazing.
you for that. Maddie,
Bye.
thank you. Trixie, thanks you.
Okay.
Linda Steele,
Thank
thank
you,
you.
Randy.
All
Please
right,
check
babe.
out
Great to
Macrame
see you.
Meals.
I'll
We
see
will
you
see
again.
next
We're
week.
gone, right?
We
Goodbye.
are.
Okay. Thanks, Brian. Love you. I'll talk to you
You're
soon.
Love you,
welcome.
Randy.
I hope you fix your first pipe.
We love you, Randy.
All right.
Bye,
Love you
Randy.
too.
All right. See you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.